The think tank that served as the blueprint for the Bush foreign policy closed and reopened under a new name, the Foreign Policy Initiative.
So it's a great pleasure to have you here again at the Foreign Policy Initiative Forum. How do you tell those people that while they are hurting and while we are suffering at home, the United States needs to continue being the major global force in the world, that even though there are other rich countries, the United States should be spending $600 billion a year on its defense budget and should be involved in the business of every place around the world?
And that actually, if you make the case, the public is receptive to the case for an internationalist foreign policy, for a Reaganite foreign policy, for strong defense, to prevent the need to fight wars and the like.
We are looking forward to this keynote discussion, a conversation with Governor Mitt Romney. Governor, thank you for being here.
Dear friend of the Foreign Policy Initiative and one of the people I admire most in the world, Senator John McCain.
The Foreign Policy Initiative already had many allies in the form of intern-age political ladder climbers and stealth neocon Democrats. But they also started courting potential Republican presidential candidates like Marco Rubio.
Senator Rubio, welcome.
Thanks for the opportunity to do this. I'm pleased to be here with you to talk about foreign policy, where I do believe what I call the Kissinger school of thought, which is that our number one interest is to act in our best interest, even if it doesn't necessarily, going to look very nice in the scope of history. But we should certainly be on the side of it every opportunity we get, because the American example is our most powerful export.
It's very quiet.
It is part, I don't know what it is. It's part of, I think, the DNA of our entire society.
A new American century.
That we're entrepreneurial, opportunity-seeking, which is necessary to finance the military might, which provides that world power.
Almost every mainstream Republican was making tokenistic stops at their conferences.
America can reassert itself, remain strong, can remain the leader of the world, and can preserve the values and principles that have made the world a far better place to live in for billions of people.
Lindsey Graham, Tom Cotton, the fresh-faced politician who convinced all the Republicans in the Senate to sign a suspiciously PNAC-ish letter attempting to blockade the Iran deal. Mike Rogers, the paranoid senator who kept going on TV saying Edward Snowden was a Russian spy. Even though the FBI was relatively obscure, they still obviously wielded an extreme influence in the DC community.
And I owe this thinking to a lot of folks that I've had conversations with a number of folks in this room, and I appreciate that.
During a Mitt Romney campaign speech, he virtually quoted the Foreign Policy Initiative mission statement's opening paragraph about China and Russia.
And these forces include rising nations with hidden and emerging aspirations like China and a resurgent Russia.
I think the American people say, no bleeping way. America is the greatest nation on earth, and we're not going to decline.
Most recently, they got Republican presidential candidate Bobby Jindal and Ted Cruz into the fold.
Governor Bobby Jindal. Thanks, Senator Cruz, for joining us. It's a very busy time on the Hill.
None of Ted Cruz's Tea Party base seemed to care or notice that he was currying favor with the neoconservative establishment.
In my view, America should stand with Ukraine and against Russia's acts of war, and we should be assisting and providing the tools to enable the Ukrainian people to defend themselves.
Or that he wanted to start a proxy war with Russia.
But what about lethal assistance, yes or no?
Yes.
What is this? I mean, seriously, the last time the neoconservatives had influence and real power would have probably been the end of the first George W. Bush term. Thank you all so much for coming.
Hopefully many years to come. I don't know Mr. Carter personally.
Cannot recommend highly enough. Nothing is true and everything is possible.